Okay. Can you all see and hear me? Yes. Okay. So let's get started. As I said, today we're going to be talking about portfolio rostering. It is time to get your teachers rostered into the platform. I'm going to show you how to roster your teachers and show you where the guidance is found on the team website. I'm also going to share with you how to submit your teacher rosters and what happens after your rosters have been submitted. We'll discuss our next steps, and then finally, we'll talk about support that we have provided for you. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is the teacher roster guidance. Before any teachers receive access in the platform, your staff roster information must be sent to us at portfolio.questions@tn.gov. There is guidance provided with step-by-step instructions on how to create and edit and submit your roster to us. This guidance is also found on the team website, the Growth tab. If you hover over the word portfolio resources and click on that, you will see at the bottom there's a section that is titled Portfolio Lead Rostering Guidance. From there, you will see your step-by-step directions. Once we receive all of your roster information, we do a quality check. And from there, if there's any questions, I will send the questions back to you. But once all of your roster data has been checked, it will be uploaded into the platform. Once your rosters are uploaded, only new users will receive an activation email. If you have people rostered that had that email and that name in prior years, then their previous account will still be it will then be activated, and they won't receive an email to create a new username and password. They will be able to log in with their old one. If for some reason you have a teacher who has not been in the platform in a few years and they can't remember their username, their password, username will always be their email. But if they can't remember their password, they can click on Forgot Password and it will reset it for them. But any new user, any new teacher who has never had an account in Portfolio, they will receive an activation email. This goes the same for you all as district administrators. I have checked the platform and noticed that most of you have activated your accounts and have logged in. For those of you who were waiting on an email and you had an account in the past, it could be that you're already activated and you just need to log in. When you go to the team website, here's the link for the rostering guidance. And I am going to click on this resource for you. Just to take you there and show you as well. So when you go to the team website, again, you're going to click the word portfolio resources, scroll down to the bottom, and here you will see the portfolio rostering guidance for leads. It is updated this year from the past, so you want to be sure that you are using this template for 22-23 school year. We are going to talk a little bit today about some things you will find in your guidebook for teachers and administrators. We want to point out that we will start rostering in the platform tomorrow, and rostering will end on the 28th. Again, it will take 5 to 7 days for your rosters to be processed, for the data to be cleaned, and for all the information to be uploaded into the platform. Some things I would like for you to note is when you are logging into TN Compass and you are wanting to select your report, you want to be sure before you go here that your district has given you permission to view reports in TN Compass. So if you are not able to see a reports tab, you will want to speak with your evaluation configurators for your district, and they can go in and they will need to click the configure button beside your name and grant you that permission if you don't already have it. Go back to our PowerPoint. So as I said, the portfolio guidebook has quite a bit of information, and I hope everyone has had a chance to go through the guidebook for all the processes for a portfolio. One thing I want you to refer to before you submit your rosters is page 11. There are some teachers that should not be rostered to submit a portfolio. So I want to go through some of these with you this afternoon to make sure that you know if these teachers are exempt and they do not need to be included. First, any teacher that is marked PYE in T Encompass. PYE means partial year exemption. At this point, I don't believe anyone would be marked PYE, but as it gets closer to Christmas, you may have teachers that you have rostered that you need us to remove because maybe they've moved to a different district, or maybe they have, as this last bullet said, switch grades, or maybe they've switched content. Maybe you rostered them as a PE teacher and now they are a fine arts teacher. So if a teacher switches grades, they may be marked PYE. So they would meet both of these exemptions, the first one and the last one. If a teacher goes on maternity leave and is out and is not in the classroom for the 120 days or more, typically districts will mark them PYE, or any teacher that's out on medical leave. So if teachers are PYE, also any tested teacher. So this example of this would be a teacher who receives a TVOS score. So maybe you have a 5th grade teacher who's going to receive a TVOS score, and possibly they teach music in the afternoon or something like that. If they teach one of the portfolio models, but they're also going to receive a TVOS score, you would not submit them to submit a portfolio. They will not receive 2 individual growth scores. If you have substitute teachers or teachers that are, sometimes we have retired teachers who come in and they're interims for the teacher of record, those do not submit portfolios. Your special education teachers do not submit a portfolio. And I've had a lot of questions about SPED teachers. So if you do have questions and you're unsure if your teacher qualifies for SPED or not, don't hesitate to reach out to us. I can give you one example. Let's say you have a 1st grade class that has inclusion students, and you have a 1st grade teacher as well as an inclusion SPED teacher who comes in and co-teaches with that teacher. The 1st grade teacher would submit a portfolio. It's not the students that are exempt, it is the teachers. So the inclusion teacher would not submit a portfolio, but the regular ed teacher would for those students. If you have a teacher who teaches in 3 or more schools, let's say you have a district where the PE teacher or a music teacher moves around from several elementary schools. If they are assigned in more than 3 or more schools, they also would be exempt and would not need to be rostered.
Tracy, we've got a couple of questions about rostering.
Okay, let me back up. Yes, ma'am.
All right, what about teachers of 3-year-old pre-K classes?
Great question. And I should have added that here, and I didn't. The pre-K portfolio is designed for 4-year-old pre-K. All of the standards in the pre-K portfolio model are the 4-year-old 10Ls standards. They are not 3-year-old standards. So if a pre-K teacher teaches 3-year-old pre-K, they are exempt. They would be non-tested and they would not submit the 4-year-old pre-K portfolio.
Okay. What about part-time teachers?
If they are part-time, they would be PYE, because a teacher that's part-time would not have a 120-day contract.
Okay. A teacher that got married this summer, the name on her license is her maiden name. How should they roster her, with her maiden name or her married name?
Great question. And I'm going to, in just a few slides, I am going to talk about teachers, but I will go ahead and say, when you roster your teachers, the name needs to match the license number and the email in Encompass, or it will get kicked back to me when we do the data analysis. So whatever their name is in Encompass needs to be their name on the roster, because that name will be linked to that license. And like I said, in just a few slides, I'll talk about how to fill out that template. But that's a rule of thumb, is you want, when you, back to that guidance that I showed you with the screenshots to pull those staff assignments, if you pull your roster information straight from Encompass using that staff assignment report, you will get the name, the email, the license number. There will be less room for error because you will be pulling it straight from Encompass to see how they're listed in there.
Okay. If a PE teacher gets new classes at the semester, do they submit a portfolio or not? So I'm assuming they do. Okay.
Yes. And I will speak to that very quickly. I met with a portfolio lead last week who was a high school fine arts portfolio lead, and she was talking about block scheduling. So, and I'm assuming that would be the same thing for this question. So the group of kids that those teachers, and I'm assuming the only high schools would have that block scheduling. They can do their point A at the beginning of the semester and their point B at the end of the semester, and that is going to show the year's growth. Or they can wait till January when they get their new group and do point A and point B. Because it's going to be, you're going to be showing growth, how you grew the students. And so if the students change next semester, if they haven't already collected point A for this semester, I suggest they start next semester.
What about a teacher who has 3 and 4-year-old in the same class?
Then they would do a portfolio.
They would do one.
I don't recommend assessing the 3-year-olds. I would only assess the 4-year-olds, but because like I said, it is aligned to 4-year-olds.
Okay. Should all 4-year-old pre-K teachers submit a portfolio, or just the vol classes?
All. When a district implements portfolio, it is not just the VPK classes. The way the law is written, if you receive VPK funding, all of your pre-K and all of your kindergarten. So it is all pre-K, all kindergarten in the district, or whatever model. If you chose first grade model, it would be all of the first grade teachers in the district. Same thing for PE. If you chose 6-8 PE, it's all, it's not particular, it's not selected teachers, it's all of the teachers in that content area for that district.
We've got some more, but I'll hold them till the end.
Okay, let's see if we talk about it. So let's talk about submitting that roster. And I think I've already said a lot of this, but again, to make sure that we have the correct information and to prevent those errors that we get back, I do encourage you to get with I would get with my evaluation configurator for the district and make sure that all of your teachers in your district are staffed in Encompass. Because if they haven't completed staffing, it's going to be very hard for you to pull the teacher's information. So that's the first thing, is make sure all of your teachers are staffed in Encompass, and then in the 22-23 school year. You want to also make sure, again, as I said earlier, that you have the permission turned on by your evaluation configurator for you to be able to view staffing reports. And then you want to be sure that this last paragraph about just making sure that they're currently staffed. If you put information on the roster and let's say they're not staffed, then when that LOE comes in, if they're not staffed in Encompass, I mean, when that growth score comes in, it won't have anywhere to go. So it's really critical that before you submit that roster, you have checked it with Encompass. So let's look at the template. As I said in the previous slide, when you click the very top of the second bullet is the template, and you want to be sure that you're using this 22-23 teacher roster template. And I'll just click on it real quick and make sure you see the same thing. You should see 22-23 at the top. The tab will say 22-23. You're going to have first name, last name, and I'm going to go through what each of these columns mean. Email, this is employee ID, district ID, grade level, school, and year ID. So you want to first make sure you have this correct template off the team website. And so I want to show you what each one of these columns means. So first, once you have this file opened, when you click on it, go to File and save it to your desktop. Save it as Portfolio Rostering Template _ and then your district name. And it should automatically save it as this XLSX file. So once you have it saved, then you can begin to put your information in. So when we look at the first column, you want, again, all of this information should come straight from T Encompass. So going back to the question where somebody changed their last name, this last name should be the one that's in T Encompass. Their email needs to be their school email. What we have found is a lot of teachers all across Tennessee, they don't update their email in T Encompass when they change schools. We see a lot of teachers who've come straight from college and their emails are still their college. If the email is not the school email, many times teachers don't get that activation because it's going to a Hotmail or a Gmail. We just have found problems with that. So you want to make sure that it is the school email. If it doesn't match T Encompass, I would just do an announcement to all of your portfolio teachers to just go in their accounts and update their account information. They can do that in T Encompass and update their email. If they don't update it, again, when you pull that roster staffing report from T Encompass, you're going to get the email that is in T Encompass. So if it is a Gmail and the roster is submitted with a Gmail, that Gmail is going to be their login. If they in the past were a previous user and they used a school email and then now they're trying to use a Gmail, we have issues and sometimes they can't get in. So it really causes problems if we don't roster people exactly as the instructions that we get. So first name, last name, school email address, you want that to line up to T Encompass. The employee ID column, D, is that teacher's license number. It is a 9-digit number, which is also in T Encompass. On the next slide, I'll show you where you can spot check these things as well. The district ID, that is your district's number. It's a 5-digit number. In many cases, it begins with a few zeros. For grade level, this is where you put the portfolio model, which I will also show you from the rostering guidance. This is very particular when we are trying to upload into Portfolio. If this column F is not exact, it will kick it back. It won't go through. So everything is very meticulous when we're trying to upload it into the platform. For column G, school, this is the school ID number. That number is in T Encompass as well, and typically it's 4 digits. And then that final column H, that should be the number 6. Our year ID for 22-23 is the number 6. So I want to show you a screenshot of where you could, like I said, can spot check these things. For column D, that license number, if you don't pull a staff report and you're doing it, maybe you have 2 or 3 teachers and you're doing it, just typing it in, which I don't recommend because when you type it yourself, it does leave way for errors. Whereas when you copy and paste it from your report, it's less likely to have errors. But the license number is right here beside the person's name. Again, it should be 9 digits. The district ID is right here on their home, on their homepage. Again, that's 5 digits. And then the school number is also on the teacher's homepage, which would be 4 digits. When you are looking at column F, grade level, as I said, this has to be entered exactly as these models are listed. So if you have a first grade departmentalized teacher, she only teaches ELA. Don't put first grade in the model. They need to be rostered in first grade departmentalized space dash space ELA. Same thing with math and kindergarten, second grade. Those 3 grades all have departmentalized models as well as the full model. Fine arts is just the word fine arts. Once the teacher logs into the fine arts model, then they will select all the different domains that we have. Pre-K must be a capital P, a dash, and the letter K. Physical education must be spelled out, and then world languages with an S. Those are some of the common mistakes that we see. We do have a transitional model for teachers that teach transition. We have a few in the state that have a transition class that's pre-K and K, and we do have that model where the teachers you would need to put that in the grade level box. Again, it's so important that this box is entered exactly, so it won't kick it back. I'm going to back up before we talk about next steps and just see, are there any questions about the roster? No questions?
Not any at this time.
Okay.
Oh, wait, she's typing one.
Okay, while she's typing, I'll say this. As I said in the guidance, and many districts have already started submitting, and starting tomorrow morning, we'll start running those data. The rosters are getting accepted beginning tomorrow, September the 16th. So a few of them we have been spot checking and just noticing things that stuck out visually that needed to be corrected. So you may receive an email that says common one has been the wrong template or the wrong information in one of these columns. So if you have submitted one in error, we're just going to send that right back to you, tell you what the error is. Like I said, if it's just a visual error, once we start running the data, it could be that you have submitted your roster, Portfolio Questions has replied and thanked you. And then once the rosters are uploaded into the platform, that's when many times things will get kicked back. And if we get an error and a name is a person is kicked back, it will typically tell us the error, whether that's an email, a license number. If it email and license numbers are the most common ones that sometimes there's a letter left out, especially, again, like I said, if people are typing them. I make errors all the time, so it's common. So if your roster comes back to me with an error, then I will just simply email it back to the portfolio lead to get the errors corrected. Okay,
we got a few questions. What year?
Okay, I'll back up a little bit and show you one more time. Year ID is the number 6.
Will a 3-year-old child remain as a 3-year-old in the system even though they turn 4?
That would have to be a question for your district. I don't know the answer to that as it relates to this. I don't
know. Should a school should be the school ID, correct?
So column G, the word school is that school ID number, and it's 4 digits.
Okay. Our ELA department is departmentalized into a teacher who teaches the reading portion and another teacher who teaches the grammar and writing portion, do they both need to do a portfolio?
Will you say that one more time?
Their ELA is departmentalized into a teacher who teaches the reading portion and another teacher who teaches the grammar and writing portion. Do they both need to do a portfolio?
Wow. I've heard of departmentalized ELA, but I have not heard of departmentalized ELA/reading, which is fine. The standards in the ELA portfolio are reading and foundational literacy standards. So to answer your question, if this pertains to the teacher who teaches, you said just reading?
There's one that teaches just reading, the other teaches grammar and writing.
If the teacher that's teaching grammar and writing does not teach foundational literacy standards nor the reading standards, then they would not submit a departmentalized portfolio because they're not teaching any of those standards. If the departmentalized reading teacher, one of them must be teaching whoever's teaching the foundational literacy and the reading standards is the one who submits the portfolio. The other one would be a non-tested teacher because their standards are not tested.
Okay. Can you repeat the name of the document that they need to use to upload this?
Yes, I'll back up a little bit.
The
and
Excel
show you.
spreadsheet.
Yes. So I'll go back even one more step. So on the team website, right here where it says portfolio rostering guidance for leads, and I'll just go back one more time and show you again. You'll go to portfolio resources, scroll down, portfolio rostering guidance for leads, click on that. Where did it go? Try again. And when you click on that guidance document, it takes you through all the steps and everything that I'm talking about in the PowerPoint. The second bullet has the template. So you'll click on that template and there it is.
The name of it's up there in the top green bar right there.
Right there, 22-23 teacher roster template.
Okay, if they have already submitted a roster on the initial template link, I'm assuming that's the old one, do they need to redo the template and submit a new roster template?
If they submitted using the link that was sent out originally to portfolio leads, it did have the old template in it. So we did receive some rosters prior to Monday. On Monday, I sent out all the information. So if they sent their roster, we did get some about 2 weeks ago that came in early on the wrong template. No, they don't have to resubmit. I have been processing those. If they if they submitted it this week after the guidance has gone out, yes, we have been sending it. If we get the wrong template, we're sending it back to them. So to answer that question, if the wrong template has come in since the guidance has been updated, portfolio questions is returning and asking everyone to submit it correctly. But if they submitted it back, I did get some on September 1st that used old guidance, and I've already processed them. Yes.
Okay, can you run back through the process of where that template is?
Yes, ma'am. Team website. Tap on growth. Whoops. Portfolio resources. Portfolio rostering guidance for leads. Portfolio rostering template. I will say, I would like to ask this or make this comment. Everyone who is designated the portfolio lead in a district, should have, we use the listserv for everyone who has been rostered by their district. As the portfolio lead, they all should have received at least 2, if not 3 emails this week from portfolio questions or from me. The last one that I sent had reminders with these links in it. So if you are a district portfolio lead and you have not received an email from me and or portfolio questions this week, please let us know. Email portfolio questions. It could be that your district turned your email in incorrectly when they rostered you. But every single district, I have emailed every district's lead. So somebody in the district is getting an email from us. But like I said, it could be maybe we're sending it to the wrong person or we're sending it to a misspelled email. So I do want to say, if these links that I'm showing you all are in those emails that I've sent. So make sure you're getting those emails.
Okay, we can do the rest of them when you finish.
Keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, so let's talk about next steps. Once you have your rosters all completed and you've sent them in to us at portfolio.questions, these are your next steps. Make sure you've named it with your district's name. Make sure you saved a copy for yourself. Email portfolio questions and attach your roster. You want to put in the subject line, teacher roster. We'll start uploading these tomorrow. And the ending date is October the 28th. So that's important to talk about. By October 28th, we should have every district's roster. I do know that there are teachers that there's leads have reached out. They have teachers that are waiting on a license number. If they don't have their license yet, don't put them on the roster because they're not going to go through. So it could be that you need to add someone after October the 28th, but your roster should already have been submitted. Does that make sense? Every district will need to have submitted by the 28th of October. If you need to add someone, or if someone has left and you've already rostered them before October 28th, those can be one-off emails to portfolio questions, but your full roster must be submitted no later than October the 28th. During that days before the 28th, we will reach out to those who have not submitted with a reminder. Again, once you submit, it takes a few days before that data is checked, gone through all the processing and cleanup, and and the teachers are activated. So give it a few days. At least it says 5 to 7 business days is what is typical for the platform. Sometimes faster, but if it's only been a week since you submitted the roster, tell your teachers not to worry. Also remember, the activation emails are only going to new users. If you have a portfolio teacher rostered this year with the same name, same email, all the information, same school, then their last year's login will work once they've been submitted. It won't work today because we haven't rolled anybody in until tomorrow. Also, make sure that your district hasn't blocked emails. There's some tech departments who block emails. Make sure that support@portfolium.com is not blocked. The email will say instructor, I believe, when it comes to you. Same thing for when the district leads receive their activation emails. It came from instructor. And again, if you're a district administrator and you haven't logged in and made sure your account is activated, please do so. Next month, we will meet again, and I will take you through the platform. Your teachers should all be there or close to being there. It's about a week before the deadline. So if you haven't submitted by the next meeting, you can still join us and see. Once all of your rosters are in, I'm going to take you into the platform in October and show you how you can double check that everyone you submitted did get activated, that they have logged in, that we didn't miss anybody, that you didn't miss anybody. So that's what we'll talk about next month, is to make sure We have everybody in the platform ready to go. And you can click, this PowerPoint will be on the team website. I'm going to go ahead and show everyone while I'm here where you can click on this meeting to join it and how you can access. So also on the team website, if you haven't already, let me see, I'm so sorry, I'm going to the wrong page. When you hover over portfolio resources and go over to the right, you'll see portfolio lead monthly office hours. If you'll click on that, you will see right here will be today's PowerPoint, and right here will be today's video recording if you need to go back and listen to the guidance from today. If you missed our August meeting, you can go back and watch the meeting. You can pull up the PowerPoint as well as our July meeting where we talked about all of the resources that we have. Again, we have our PowerPoints and our videos. So every month, I will just keep updating these for you so that you can get all the information. So when you click on these PowerPoints, let me go back to our page we were on. When you click on this PowerPoint, that's the hyperlink right there. And as always, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to email us. Our turnaround, we try to do it within 24 hours as fast as we can to answer your questions and to support you. One final note about portfolio questions before I open up for more questions. As portfolio leads, I want to make sure you stay in communication with your teachers. Sometimes if we get teachers asking questions at portfolio questions, you might see that I have copied you on their answers. And the reason we do that is so as portfolio leads, you know what questions your teachers are asking. If we're getting a lot of questions copied to you, then from a certain content, then that would just that is really just a courtesy for you to know what your teachers are asking so that you would know how to better support them. So just wanted to also follow up with that. That's why I copy portfolio leads on the answers many, many times. So thank you. I am going to, unless you have any more rostering questions, I'm going to stop the recording so we can open up for just general questions. Do you have any more rostering questions, Amy?
I do not have any more rostering questions. I don't think, unless it's just come in. But we do have some just kind of other ones.
General questions? I'm going to stop the recording so that this will just be the rostering session and then we can